Oh, I should check.
In the basement.
Checker outer. Who's the checker outer?
He's got it.
What's up, guys? Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We're about ready to get started here. Get this Tuesday underway.
I got headphones tonight, guys.
Check it out.
I mean, I could sit like this the whole night, but
Our headphone
I'm not
budget
going to.
has nearly quadrupled.
Not tonight.
2, 3, 4. So far, our ads are working. We had
I'm
some
gonna wait.
teams.
We gotta get paid. So.
Some teams playing, some teams not playing, but one thing that always plays on Tuesday.
I don't know if I
Straight
can
cash,
let this
homie.
one go. It's like a full 30-second ad.
A commercial.
guys.
We must be making tens of
We're not getting
fractional
paid
pennies.
for that one.
Straight cash, homie.
All right,
Oh,
we're
I heard
good.
it. I heard
Let's do this. Hey, I just heard myself. Oh, here we go, guys. Hope you guys recognize this little ditty. We'll let Otis Redding play for a second or two. And then we'll get started officially. Welcome back to Tuesday night, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Week 3 of the WCAC season was a great week. It was a great week for everyone. I don't care about results. 3 weeks of high school football. The DC sports scene, which we believe is amongst the best in the entire country, is best defined at this point, especially in a football fan's standpoint, by the greatness of high school football. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'd like to welcome everybody to the WCAC Spectacular. I'm Ken Marangolo. He's Tim Strachan.
I gotta tell you, man, I'm exhausted. I'm emotionally from football this past weekend. It started with the tough loss with St. John's Friday night that we're going to talk about tonight. To Kevin Ricka's 9-year-old Pee Wee team that he coaches.
The Ponies, baby.
With his son on the team. Dave Bowie, another coach, with his son Chase on the team. Jake and Chase. With their thrilling 6-6 tie of their first game ever.
7-7, right?
The
Or
adrenaline
6-6.
that Kevin and Dave were running on at about 5 o'clock p.m. because the game was I think at 9 was absolutely just intoxicating watching. To Maryland's huge
win.
demolishing of then number 21 Syracuse. Mike Loxley, Terps, hats off to you guys. Are awesome. It's going to be fun to watch you guys for the rest of the way. To the bipolar performance of the Redskins on Sunday. And I swear, if I hear Antonio Brown's name one more time,
We're not going to. That's already too many names.
From Steve Levy,
Especially before we hear these names over
from
here.
Steve Levy, if I hear it again, I am going to lose it.
He's Kevin Ricka.
Hey, listen, I was on an emotional high. Shout out Joe Murphy, my O-line coach. Also, teaching young kids how to play football for the first time in their lives was a big boost. Going home and cranking Otis on the weekend of his plane accident, and nothing makes you feel better than Otis in the background. What a great weekend! What a great weekend! We're in it. We're in the thick of it. Can't wait to keep talking about the WCAC boys.
Yeah, there were
Matt, the real deal
few
seal.
other great wins out there.
There was some great action this past week and more coming up, obviously. It's great to be back here. And
We'll get things started. I don't like to end this way. If Kevin McClinton were here, he would have a different order. But I want to get things started a little bit somberly, but importantly, and that is we're all class 94, and we lost a brother this week. Mike Lynn, class of 94 from Gonzaga, a very good friend of mine, a great man, a great dad, just a good example of what comes out of these schools. He is just missed incredibly already by us. We've been in touch with a lot of guys from Gonzaga, our friends from 94.
A few hours ago, yeah.
It's gutting. It's the worst news, and it is a reminder to all of us that these relationships that we make in life, and we talk about it all the time. None of us went to Gonzaga. All of us know Mike, and we know him through guys at Gonzaga. We know, our lives crash into each other for decades and decades after we finish high school, and these friendships and relationships are important. I'm so sorry to Mike's family. I'm so sorry to the Gonzaga family. I'm so sorry to all the people whose lives he touched, and I think that we'll go out on that by saying that it's just a reminder that this first C in this awesome conference that we cover reminds us that Mike's forever, and he is forever. And if we're lucky, and if we do what we are supposed to do, and we have a fighting chance to join him where we know he is, and that's up the big man. And we know he's watching tonight, and he'll be watching always. And I love you, man, and I miss you, and I know that. That so many people are feeling the same way, and my heart goes out to all of you. So
well said, Ken, and just to bring it back to our show. I mean, this is an area where we always say, when someone asks you where'd you go to school, they mean high school.
They mean high school
Because that's where your roots are. That's where you can kind of get a bearing on who you might know and who you guys share in common and. The same goes since none of us did go to Gonzaga, but we have so many.
It's part
friends.
of the family. They're part of the family.
And we know that there's the Flynn family and everybody that we know that was so close to him, are hurting. So.
Well, I just want to say he spent his 4 years at Gonzaga while I was at St. John's for mine. We both played in D.C. in college. He was at Georgetown. I was a Catholic. He was such a class act and what a great football player. The last time I was there, last time we saw each other was at the game, Ken, and he offered to buy my son a Coke and me a beer, and we sat and watched the Redskins, and, that's a great memory for me because he's an absolute class act.
Yep.
Everyone in the class of 94 at Gonzaga, we do give them a hard time. They're brothers. They're part of our brotherhood.
Yep.
And, we all feel it. So, God bless the Lynn family.
Yep. And they'll never be forgotten by us. And there's no easy way to go from that to this, but the way Mike would want it, he would want us to talk about some high school football. He doesn't want us to be sad. He doesn't want us to he would not want us to mope. And so we will celebrate what he celebrated with us on so many Saturdays and Sundays, and that's football. And let's get it started with St. John's because
Ken, you mind if I interject?
Please.
Why don't we turn this into a Gonzaga W conversation?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Mike was a part of a lot of those. And,
I wanted to build
on the
to
wrong
it.
end of a couple of those, but
let's talk about it. That's a good looking out.
I hope you don't mind.
No, let's do it.
But I appreciate it because hey, the boys were down 14-0. I got to sit at home and watch a bit of it.
Yep.
They're just what a hell of a football team. Down 14-0 with Caleb Williams at the helm, no one panics. And when Caleb starts doing Caleb things, like his 81-yard touchdown run, I mean, this guy has turned in. At the beginning of last year, we knew he could run a little bit, but his maturation in that aspect of the game has come full circle. We know he can spin it.
He ran in the championship game, but it was functional.
Did.
It was to grind out some yardage. We thought he was going to be extremely sore the next day. To have an 81-yarder.
And a 40-yarder.
That's
81 and a 40.
And he broke a 70-yarder the week before against American Hatters.
The guy's on fire right now because,
pretty good run by average.
Yeah, and you throw in his 19-yard touchdown pass, a 9-yard touchdown pass, and a 35-yard touchdown pass. This guy's doing crazy things at the high school level as a junior.
Wow.
I mean, he has escalated to the top of the list in many, many publications, and certainly around this poker table. We all know exactly what he's capable of. We saw it in the most crucial, clutch situation that you can be in as a WCAC football athlete. What an incredible – they played a great team, man. That team had them on the ropes at home, and these guys just come back and give them the business. I mean, it's 14-0 start. They wound up winning 35-21. And, you don't want to just point at one guy. But when James Franklin, the head coach at Penn State, is on the sidelines up there in Jersey – checking things out at point blank range and sees what he saw, I mean, he's got to get in that car and drive back to Happy Valley thinking, I need to get my hands on that guy. And he ain't the only coach.
No,
because look at the top 10 in the country. They're all chasing him. The kid is an absolute special talent. What a leader. I mean, he's putting this Gonzaga team into the top 10, and it's not just by himself. What a tremendous program. We know that. But there's no doubt where the star power lies, right there at the quarterback position. Caleb Williams is must-see stream.
That's right.
Well, we know that firsthand here.
Yeah, man.
There's no doubt about it.
And hats off to that offensive line who we've been talking about for the last 6 months. I like the way Caleb. It's not. I don't want to compare Caleb to a professional like Le'Veon Bell. I'm not going to do that. But I will suggest
That's
that
good.
his patience. Well, as a runner, you see his patience. We saw it last year, and he has that. It's not a stutter. I mean, it's literally just patience. He's not rushing anything,
There's
and
a little bit of
hesitation
smoothness
still.
involved.
it's
with
so
it too.
smooth. And
It's
then
so
and then when he
smooth.
makes the decision, he's decisive, and he puts the foot down and he's gone.
Well, I think Caleb, with his experience too, is a guy where the game is just slower for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as he's observing it and reading it and reacting to it, he's been in so many big moments as it is already. And to have a leader of your team like that, everybody else looking up to, and you know, everything works from the top down, right? So if his leadership's that way, that's the way the team's going to play. And God, I can't wait until the WCAC starts up to see these guys go head to head with each other. But there's still a lot to go in the out of conference schedule.
Yeah.
And they're showing up though. So far.
Well, Caleb ain't trying a little tenderness on anybody because they come out of halftime. They're down. There's 14-14. They get a punt block deep in their own end zone. It's 21-14 again. They've been battling back the whole time. Once again, no panic. That's when he starts his onslaught. 9-yard touchdown pass, 40-yard run, 35-yard touchdown pass, 3 unanswered scores. They roll out of there with a double-digit 2-touchdown win. They were clawing and scraping for 2.5 quarters, and they walk out of there, 2 touchdown winners on the road against a team that's seasoned, one of the best teams in the state of New Jersey, and they represented DC to the fullest up north this past weekend.
And it's a great start for Coach Trivers. He had some adversity last year, and they've kind of had some adversity at points in some of these games, but that's a coaching staff that can do something, with a lead inside of a game. But I think they're also a great staff in terms of keeping these guys focused, not letting them read the press clippings, not letting them get ahead of themselves. I expect them to hit the WCAC conference schedule acting as if they're winless. I mean, that's kind of...
That's the way he coaches.
Yeah, that's the way he coaches.
That's his style. And he's never going to let these kids get complacent. And he's going to use last year as an example of why. That's why he was so emotional after that St. John's semifinal win, and certainly after the championship, because of how much he invests in it. We've seen it here in the basement. How much he cares about it, and it's just great to see that Gonzaga is going to be able to continue, the way that they played from their championship season.
And we worried about Marshall and Sweeney and how they replace them. Keep an
the
eye on
most
Justin.
part.
Justin Enos. He had 2 of those touchdowns. He had a 19-yarder and a 9-yarder. And Aaron Turner, who we know is a playmaker. He's another guy that finished them off with 35 yards out. And these are guys just stepping up into these roles. And
next man,
but it's not an average man coming up to the plate. These guys are seasoned. These guys have seen what works. They're coming off a magical season. These guys are playing with no fear. So hey, we've hit them up pretty good here. I think now we got to hit someone else up.
Let's hit someone else up.
He's going to bring something to the table.
Keep it rolling, Eagles. Keep it rolling. We're
Purple's
watching.
flying high.
Yeah, we see you out there doing your thing.
Let's see if we can't get...
Falcons in the football hall, Falcons on the fake, Falcons on the way to score, Falcons on the break. Falcons fly, anytime you call, Falcons will fulfill your dreams.
We called 1967 good council football.
Spring and fall. You needed some barbershop help there.
Fight.
Fantastic job, sir. I wish you did all 4 of the barbershop quartetters all by yourself, and it was amazing.
He's a tenor.
How many times did you practice?
That was the first take right there, my brother.
Not
That
true.
You were
my-
singing the whole time
Not
until
true.
we called you.
The late great Frank Gilmore, my Falcon brother in the sky. That was one of his jams.
Yeah.
So
Too bad your wife has a GoPro stationed in the corner of that garage. We've been watching you for the last 35 minutes, warming up those
me
pipes.
sweat out here when I've been waiting, ready to roll.
Talk to us about some good council football. What's the latest and greatest? We see they're staying on their winning track.
Or sing it to us, whatever you decide.
Yeah, we're seeing.
They're keeping with they're keeping with the winning ways here, gentlemen. And as I've stated before, the Washington-Baltimore Zavarian Brother Classic was this past weekend against Mount St. Joe's. And Good Counsel got off to a quick start. Middle linebacker Harold Miles had a big game. To start off, Mount St. Joe's had the ball. They sent Harold Miles in on a blitz. He sacked the quarterback, caused a fumble, and recovered it. Good Counsel got
efficient.
the ball on the Mount St. Joe's 25 and took it in a couple plays later. The following drive, second play from scrimmage, Mount St. Joe's quarterback throws the ball right into the belly of Harold Miles, returns it for a touchdown. Good Counsel is up
That's the theme.
13-0 with
Stat
4
sheet-
minutes.
stat
4
sheet
minutes
filler.
into the game. So my man was making it happen.
There's a song about him that's been written.
Did he flip some burgers
this
on the
week.
grill over
Yeah.
by the snack shack?
Said
too?
mass.
How many songs? Yeah, how many songs have you prepared of it to sing his praises? I mean, the Harold Miles songs have got to be fantastic.
Harold Miles is my man now. I can tell you that. And no, he had a great game, and he was in it the whole time. And I'm going to tell you right now, Good Counsel's defense is something else this year. They fly to the football, and these guys are really good tacklers. You're really not seeing anybody break any tackles, whether it's the defensive line, linebackers, or defensive backs. If they get a hand on you, they're bringing you down and dropping you on the spot. And they were doing that all game. Mount St. Joe's spread it out. They were going 4 wides the entire time, trying to throw it around. Didn't have a lot of success. They had a long touchdown that was called back, and it was 13-0 at half. Good Counsel's having some extra point issues, but they hit Miles Cross on an out and up in the third quarter, going up 19-0.
Miles.
And Mount St. Joe's ended up scoring a touchdown later in the game. The final was 19-7. But GC did have a fumble going into the end zone again, so they've had some turnover issues that have plagued them a little bit this year, and that continued on Saturday, but they got the win. So it was a big win for the Falcons, and like I said, it's a great rivalry with Mount St. Joe's, and it was a great win for the Falcons.
Man, another big win for the WCAC as well.
Absolutely, and and this weekend coming up, Good Counsel is going out to Bellflower, California. Where is Bellflower, California, you ask? Well, it is south of Los Angeles, not too far from a place called Compton, and they are playing St. John Bosco.
DeMatha knows about those guys.
Yeah.
DeMatha found out pretty early what those guys are about.
Speed.
Caught a beat down from them, 35-7. St. John Bosco put up 500 yards on DeMatha that night. They are 3-0. They're averaging 46 a game. They're only giving up about 9. And it's pretty much all through the air. They've got a big-time quarterback. They
he's
like to air
nasty.
it out.
He's huge.
We saw him against St. John's 2 years ago. Galele.
Ungalele.
Yeah, there's an unga. Yeah.
Well, they got some huge men on the line, too. And one guy on the roster, I think, is 400 pounds. So they've got some enormous guys. But they've got some real speed at all skill positions.
They are one of the fastest teams I've ever seen.
Those receivers are quick and nice.
All of their
Hudson.
averages are for big yardage. There's no possession guy out there. Everybody's catching something that's 25 yards or longer, and they throw it to everybody. So it's going to be a tough one out there, and Good Counsel is going to be flying out later this week. But I think the score is going to be St. John Bosco 27, Good Counsel 28. They're going to pull it out. They're going to come back with the trophy, and we're looking forward to that one.
I like it.
Which trophy are we discussing here that they're coming back with?
Well, I like to say, when you come home with the win, you're coming home with the trophy. It's
Okay.
a little something I put together.
All right.
It seems to
I
inspire.
appreciate that.
It seems to inspire people.
You're a man of many talents, man.
Must be really hot in that
I'm
garage.
going to get Tim a trophy.
He deserves a trophy.
I got a trophy from our softball championship where I hit the walk-off home run, Kevin.
How
It's
could I
sitting right
forget it?
here.
How could I forget it?
How could he ever let
It's
you
all
not forget
signed.
it?
Hey, I was on base, so our hamstrings were taut at that hour. It was about our 9th game in 2 days, and Tim hit one about over the treetops, and we celebrated like the New York Yankees. So
That's amazing.
I was so glad at that point. The
State
game was
champs,
over.
baby.
I was exhausted.
Me too. We were done, and you ended
I
it.
walked around the bases.
Yes,
and
you
I think
did.
I drank
It took
a
a
big,
minute
tall
and 14
orange,
seconds.
Sunkist.
And he sniffed that hat, and the day was done.
Oh my gosh!
The hat sniffing has been going on for a long time. Apparently, that
Yeah,
legacy
you got a
started
weird,
when I was in high school.
thing there, man.
People find it weird, but I found it
People.
inspiring. And
Inspiring. I like.
You know?
Hey,
It said GC
hey guys, the
on
first
it.
guy
So.
through the door is always bloody.
Keep your
First guy through
nose
the
off
door.
my hat. Man. Keep your nose off my hat.
well, we appreciate you, Tim, and we wish them and your guys the best out in Cali this week, and we look forward to hearing your coverage of said game next Tuesday night.
Absolutely, I'm very excited about it, and I'm going to be pulling for my boys this weekend. Obviously, I'm not going to make it out to Compton
What?
to check out the game. but it's going to be a tough one. But I think the Falcons are going to make it happen. But Good Counsel football. Soon we'll be making another run. Good Counsel football. We're headed to Cali to have some fun.
I hope Isaac's out there. I
yeah.
do.
All right, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks, Tim.
Thanks,
See you,
Timmy.
Tim.
Thank you, brother.
That is our Good Counsel superfan, Tim.
1994.
Class of 94, as we are wont to do here in the basement.
Yeah.
Let's get a little. I turned Otis down, and because I'm not going to have any.
Otis never expected to be turned down.
It was tough competition.
First time
there.
ever. Otis
But you know what? Tim live. You got to go with it. You know.
Got to go with it. You don't
You
want
never
to.
Not
know
only
how
can
he's
he
gonna-
sing,
You never know
but-
how he's going to do.
But he can dance.
I know. I know that.
Always entertaining.
I have actually seen it on a golf course, and
Man of many
as good as
talents.
it sounds.
Well, I will tell you about Otis and Tim. They both love football. Otis Redding was 6'1", 220, and it was his passion, and I love knowing that about the guy. He'd be all over this podcast, and he's very proud that Tim got up there and had the what do you call it? The
Gall.
the vigor.
Chutzpah.
There you go.
Gumption.
To just sing like that live. You know, God bless that guy.
Plums.
Yeah,
There you go.
it is plum season.
Just go ahead and say it. He's got the balls to come on here and
Yeah, that's
sing
right.
his ass off.
Hey, look, he's a singer. He's a poet. He's a
shouldn't
slogan
have said
maker.
that.
I mean,
He got me all excited.
Yeah.
It's football season. Here we go.
This is
Speaking
what
of
we
one
do.
of my favorite, speaking of chutzpah, one of my favorite social media posts of the week was from my boys, Bishop McNamara. After they
Ooh, did they get on the right track?
laid one on last week, and I liked watching Coach Malloy. Well, Maddie, take us through what was the final? 58
58 to 14 over
Yep.
Riverdale Baptist.
Lamont Jordan's
Rivalry
program.
there.
They instead of being at home in McNamara, was at Riverdale, and otherwise you would have seen it on First Amendment Sports. But that said, they got work done, and
In all fairness,
Go ahead.
Riverdale Baptist did suspend their program for like a year, right? Didn't they?
That was baseball.
that was
baseball.
Just
baseball.
baseball?
Yeah, and they had two baseball
So,
teams.
there goes
Not a
your
lot of
fairness,
guys.
Strachan.
Yeah,
we
we're
just
not-
caught, we
Not
just,
a lot
we
of
just
guys.
caught an old-fashioned whooping.
What was Malloy's line last year? Not a lot of people take over.
There's not a lot of 11-0 jobs.
11-0 jobs.
There's not a lot of 11-0 jobs. Well, the Mustangs are off
Trying
to a
be, just trying to
2-0
be
start.
fair to my fellow Terp over there.
That's
He's-
true.
he's working
Lamont
hard.
he's working hard.
He'll get there. Just not last Saturday.
Not
That's
last Saturday and or Friday night. And I want
Happy
to
for
tip
those Mustangs, man.
tip my hat to Coach Malloy because he has changed the culture. They're going to get everything they want and everything they ask for when they get into
Yep.
world's hardest conference schedule. But in the
His
meantime,
Twitter game is strong.
it is, and you can tell they're together
Yeah,
a lot
that's,
because
that's what I mean.
it's unbelievable. It's not an act. I've seen it. I talked to him. He's
One
intense.
team, one
One
team.
McNamara,
One
man.
McNamara, one family, and
family,
and
that's
he's in charge. It's fun to watch as a Mustang alum. It's fun to watch for WCAC. Every team that we can build back up, it makes the conference stronger, and the conference is stronger when McNamara is a strong program, and I think that they are right now, and we're going to see what they have because last year they took one from St. Mary's Riken, and they get St. Mary's Riken this weekend. And St. Mary's Riken is a good program.
They took it on the chin last year, and,
Yeah.
I do not expect that to happen again this
I
year.
don't expect it to happen this year either.
I think there's been a lot of change. Nothing to do with Riken. Forget about them. Just talking about McNamara right now. They've been playing some excellent football. You're right. These guys seem to be on the same page, and it's what happens when there's one leader and everyone's following. There's no divisiveness. I love what these guys are doing. I love how they're handling themselves in victory.
Yeah.
They've been very humble about it. I also love that they put my man Asim Penny in the Hall of Fame. I know you
Yes.
voted for him.
Yeah,
I voted for
I
him.
was very proud of that. Asim Penny was my teammate and a great guy and one of the most historic plays in league history. Cadillac left. We talk about it all the time, but shout out to Asim. But we're talking about this team right now.
Yep.
And I love what these kids have been through last year. And then when they go through what they went through last year, guys, we've seen it happen. It goes one of three places, and this was the place that it usually doesn't turn into. And just part of the deal. That's what it is.
That's right.
Well, I started off the-
Great job, Keita Malloy.
Yeah.
Taking them to a place that, not a lot of coaches get these guys to get to that place this early in the season.
But I started
Go
off
ahead.
the show talking about how emotionally drained I was from this past weekend's football, ups and downs. But we've had an inside look at this program for a while now, due to Marco and everybody being so great to us, and seeing their struggles up close, right? But also seeing how hard they've worked, and I speaking for all of us, I think we're all pulling for these kids. And now you're starting to see some of the scholarships roll in. Quinn Osborne.
Committing
Ty
to William and
Collins.
Mary.
Congratulations, Q.
Quinn Osborne can fulfill
Ty,
all
your
his
boy
dreams
Ty.
at William and Mary, and I'm proud of him for that.
Yeah, he's going to be great there. And one thing that I always remember hearing when I talk to folks at McNamara is, with all respect to the previous, regime at McNamara who knew football, Coach Kaganius is an NFLer. He knows football, and he ran a one way. And when Coach Malloy took over, they had a real tough time, because that first year, if you're serious about changing some culture, that first year is tough. Mm-hmm. And it was tough. And they didn't win many games.
But we're so glad to see these kids finally getting
But they went to
some fruits of their labor because we
Yes.
see how hard they've been.
the kids went to the administration, and they're like, we learned more this year than we have the seniors on their way out. They learned more football from this guy in one season, and I think that's what we're starting to see. To the extent that they're able to have any degree of success against WCAC teams, it will be because they've had a couple of years. And now you're starting to see some kids who were freshmen and sophomore in his first and second year, and they've learned, and he's building it. And
They
it's
believe.
just awesome.
They believe in him.
Mm-hmm.
So go Mustangs, but also Coach Brady and to the St. Mary's Riken. We always wish you the best as well.
Yeah, it's a cool league game.
It is. It's a great league game. Let's get some more results.
Cross division.
Great,
Is that what
cross
we call it?
division,
Cross division.
interconference, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interconference.
So this past weekend, DeMath and Ireton had off weekends. Paul VI was on the short end of a stick against Flint Hill. They went out of conference there. Carroll picked up a 24-6 win over Theodore Roosevelt.
There you go.
Big win for the
Greatly
Lions
improved
there.
Carolina. They were also
they
down
are.
6-0.
Yep.
And then
Restore the roar.
They turned that whole situation around, and they're playing tough.
It's a nice win against
Congrats,
the
Coach
DC
Harris.
school there.
Mm-hmm.
Fork Union beat O'Connell 42-24. I saw our old friend Al Clark on Saturday night. He's coaching at O'Connell now.
Oh, my
He
man.
said to say hello.
Wow, what's up, bud?
Al, and I
glad
said
I
I
know
would
that,
on,
man.
try and get him
I was
back
gonna
on
say,
soon. Absolutely.
That makes me want to broadcast an O'Connell game.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right?
Kenny Lucas and Al Clark on the same sidelines. That might be 2 shows.
And then let's see, rounding out last weekend's action, St. Mary's Riken lost to Calvert Hall 34-14. Calvert Hall had a nice attack style.
Well, there was
another one.
There was another game.
You were at that one.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah,
other one.
it was
The
a
other
tough. St. Joe's Prep from Philadelphia played the St. John's Cadets up at Rutgers University, and St. John's came out a little bit flat, spotted them 21 first quarter points,
21.
which is
Anything that
Can't
could have
do
gone
that.
wrong went
pretty
wrong.
much went wrong. St. John's fumbled in the end zone on a miss handoff.
Hold on. That was right before the 97-yard punt return was called back.
Called back.
2 plays later, a fumble in the end zone. That's a huge swing.
big swing.
It didn't stop swinging.
Was that
now. Go
Jamar?
ahead, bud.
Who ran the 90?
Jamar.
Yeah, it was Jamar.
Yeah. He's electric.
Big swing. 30-13 at that point on. St. John's outscored them, but it was too late at that point. Rakim Jarrett had a good game. He had a breaking towards the end zone with all the momentum to score the winning touchdown, and St. Joe's Prep defender came in, made a great play stripping the ball out of his grasp, and he just couldn't grab back to it.
Well, he was fighting for extra yards.
He was.
And
He
it
fought
just,
all night.
Like I said, yep. Everything went wrong for
Pretty
the. Hey, you
much.
get off the bus and let them get 21 on you. You
Anytime
play
you
a top
let
10 team in the
anybody
country.
get 21 on you, it's going to be tough. Even if you battle back and you make a game and you take
Well, they took the lead.
Well,
I know.
speaking of battling
Even
back,
when you do that.
a gentleman named Antoine Littleton led the charge there. Big baby bus.
I will.
290-ish pound gentleman
That's a hell
coming
of a
right
charge.
at you. It's hard to make a play on
That's a
him.
charge
He
and a half.
broke a couple
That's
of
two
nice
charges.
Gained
runs.
like 20 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's getting bigger
But
by the
it
day.
depends on who you ask.
I know. That's my
But he had a 57-yard touchdown run that I had to show you guys.
Yeah, it's what I'm still going to
was
say.
just
You're 275.
Yeah, here at First Amendment Sports. I think we should settle in on 280 and just call it a day.
Call it a day. That's right.
Because it doesn't matter how big he is. That smile,
ridiculous
that smile's
no matter
all I
what it
care
is.
about, and he is
Yep.
a absolute baller.
Got a 300-pound personality.
It was, unfortunately, they didn't have a terrible night aside from a terrible start.
Just a slow
I
start.
do believe they beat that team 4 to 5 times, but you show up on the road, a first road game. They learned a ton about their team,
They did.
and they need to figure it out because they got 3 top 5 games in the next 3 weeks in the
Oh,
nation.
they will.
They will.
They will. But this is, again, why I loved Coach Kaz's comment that he was quoted in a national publication I think it was Max Preps, asking him about the schedule. And, would you play the top 6? He says, I would always reserve the WCAC because that's what it really matters. And when you get at the end of the season, if they were to go undefeated and through the WCAC and be in that national championship, we'd be all over it. But at the end of the day, we're going to be about who is the WCAC champ. And that game, even though it's a loss, as you say, Kevin's going to teach these kids, and that's scary. That's scary that this team, after what we saw in the first couple of weeks, can actually learn a lot and get a lot better from,
Absolutely.
from a loss like this.
Absolutely. And we always talk about how you can possibly get into the mind of 15 through 18-year-old, and especially when they're all in a group. And you know what? The good thing was, and I think the one thing they did learn about themselves is down 21-0 on a national schedule, on a national level that night, down 21-0 against a top 10 team in the nation, they retook the lead.
Don't quit.
I said it earlier. They'll be back.
They got back.
They'll get there.
Hey, this team was great. This team's quarterback's heading to Ohio State. He's a stud. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a beast. Hey, after the game, the next day, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. signs with Clemson. You know, they're not messing around up there.
No,
they got a
players.
program.
That's a good
had
squad,
10 plus
man.
tackles.
That's
My
a good squad.
buddy
field.
Joe Botta was very influential in this game being played up at St. Joe's Prep. He's a former teammate of mine. Couldn't have been more classy. Had nothing else but great things to say about not only St. John's but the WCAC.
Yep.
He said, you know, how they wish the Philly Catholic League had something like we had down here because you know, they have their big rivalry against LaSalle, and all my guys are LaSalle guys and St. Joe's Prep guys. But you know, the Archbishop Carrolls, the Archbishop Ryans of the world have kind of petered out a little bit.
Yeah.
They're a little bit jealous about what we have going on down here, but not jealous enough not to, you know, take one from us. But hey, on any given Saturday, and we always talk about it. What impressed you about them real quick, Seal? I know you were on the sidelines.
Well, we just mentioned two names, Harrison Jr. and Trotter, for me, was just all over the field. He had 10-plus tackles at least. Every other play, there's Trotter again. Trotter
He was
again,
everywhere.
And all three of those guys that we just mentioned are juniors. And a lot of those kids, they're a very young team.
Yep.
Even the quarterback.
Even the quarterback going to Ohio State.
Who's already committed, yeah.
Yep.
We got to get Frank Fisher and crew.
They coming down here next
with
year?
A shout out to Jeremiah Trotter
Trotter
Jr. heading down
right?
to the Tigers. I know.
He and Trey Williams.
We hosting them? next
Oh,
year?
those three are coming to DC.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I got to think there's a pretty decent chance that.
Well, it might be a different. Might be 4 letters instead of 3 instead of 1 AS. It might
That's
be an
fine.
ESPN, but that's okay.
That's right.
I didn't just to underline what T said. What I think is cool about what Coach Kaz has said since over the offseason, that is, people can debate all they want about who the national champion is, and that's great. That's what we do, and we love it. And we talk about in sports. There's going to be endless debates, but for WCAC football teams, there's only one trophy. There's only one definitive champion. There's only one team who wins their last game and celebrates the way that we saw it happen last year, and that's the champion of the WCAC. And more than W's and L's at this point of the season, all these teams we just talked about, they're going to be ready to beat the you-know-what out of each other in a month from now. And it's going to be awesome to see because they will be tested against the best teams in the nation before they get tested against the best teams in the nation right here.
It's crap. They're going to be the crap out of each other.
They're going to beat the crap out of each other. Sorry. I know Tim Reddy's watching, and I don't want to offend his barbershop quartet senses.
Your insinuations were just, very heavy.
Well, I'm excited. Let's talk about some games that we're going to see this week. We talked about Good Counsels traveling out to California. We talked about McNamara
That's
getting
19 versus number 2.
It's 19 versus number 2.
That's one of the biggest games in the nation.
St. John's has a huge game this week, right away, after a huge game last week.
You guys
no
all
days
saw
off.
Duncanville lose on the second best Hail Mary-thon for a championship last year in the nation. That was Duncanville on the wrong side of that at Jerry Jones's pad. That they were had it all wrapped up. They were going to be the Texas 6A champs. They've got a ton of talent returning. They are loaded. There's an interesting thing I wanted to say to you guys. There's a bit of a debate going on, and my dad's been having it with me pretty much every day. They are allowed to cut in Texas high school football, and they're playing Texas high school football league rules. It's kind of crazy to me that the Mordecai McDaniels of the world, that the Trey Johnsons of the world, MJ Sherman, they're going to have to deal with guys cutting below the knees. It's legal in Texas. I think it's mind blowing.
That's a disadvantage. To
I
St.
hate
John's
it.
because
Complete
they've
disadvantage.
They've had to have
And
at least taught them how to defend themselves,
of course,
if not do it themselves.
But if you've done it and it's now just a regular thing to
It's
you,
not an easy thing to do.
It's a terrible thing to adjust to at the next level. A lot of guys never adjust, and it's a hard deal. And I think that is just it's a bit odd to me that they would have to go ahead and do that. St. John said, "Hey, your place, your rules. We'll play anyone anywhere, and we're not gonna whine about it." But I don't like it.
I hate it.
I don't like that rule at the high school level. I think it's archaic. I think it's time to, somebody with some sense make the decision. But they're going down there, and that's part of the game, and that's something I didn't think you guys would be big fans of. But I didn't quite realize that until my 13th phone call.
No, not if safety of the
Saturday.
game is important, and then at the high school level too. This isn't Division I where everybody's a good athlete, a superior athlete to be able to defend themselves and get over it and not have a tactical advantage. So no, I don't like it, but I love the fact that St. John said, "Hey, you as in Rome,
Yeah.
we'll do it like you guys do."
Yep.
Hey, that's great.
Yeah. Hey, number 5 Duncanville versus number 13 St. John's, and number 19 Good Counsel versus number 2 St. John Bosco. No one can say the WCAC is afraid of anything or anyone at any time. Mostly each other, like we talked about previously.
That's right. It's going to be an awesome week. We can't wait to cover those results with you guys next Tuesday. Come back in about 5 or 10 minutes. We're going to be talking about some Redskins. But before we leave, you got anyone got some last thoughts? Let's talk about some stuff.
DeMatha Avalon, Gonzaga, and the Jesuit Gridiron Classic at Georgetown Prep.
That's right.
Carol
That's a
Wilson,
huge
I don't-
game, and that's a huge game.
it's a fun
for the
game.
area for the area.
Yes.
It's a
huge.
fun matchup.
It is a fun matchup. It is. I mean, there's deep family
Oh yes.
rivalries and
and
like,
right
it's
here
just-
on this street there are.
it's
There's
everywhere.
Prep
This
guy
is-
right over there, and there's a
This is a
Gonzaga guy
local
right over
version
there.
of like Skins Cowboys. I mean, appropriate. It's on the same.
They might
week
hate
as
each other
Skins
more.
Cowboys. They might.
Maybe. I
might
don't know.
On that very day. I've been in the end
On that
zone at
day.
Georgetown Prep when Prep had a 37-game win streak, and my cousin Brian Haley caught a fade in the back
I
of
was
the end
there.
zone for the tie.
I was
about
there with
5
you.
steps in front of me. We were standing right there when he made the catch in our Maplewood stuff.
Oh,
And
that
we
was
We were so
ridiculous.
thrilled that someone that we'd seen grow up made such a huge play right in front of us. It was kind of one of my indoctrinations into high school football, thinking, man, that guy's related to me. If he
wanna
can
be
do that in
that
front of all
guy.
these people. This is what I want to do. And someday, I want to sit around a poker table with all my friends and talk about everyone doing this.
Yes.
But really,
We'll have to get out Clark, Phil Savoy, who's on the St.
Yeah.
John staff.
Yep.
Right? We got to get some of those old school guys.
Yeah,
in here
we
and talk
do.
about the old days.
but what a great rivalry over the years. Those Jesuits are going to get after it. I understand that every alumni from '94 is going to have to stand out there and do jug. And you see who drops first with the books. I like that. It's a great halftime show. I'd like to cover it. Maybe someday we will cover that. We'll see.
If we're lucky. Until next Tuesday night, he's Matt the Real Deal Seal.
Let's kick it off.
He's Tim Strachan.
Be grounded, stay rounded, guys. Thanks so much for listening.
He's Kevin Ricka.
Hey, everyone stay healthy, play hard, WCAC, represent on the national level. Good luck to you guys. And until next week, be a good sport.
On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo. This was the WCAC Spectacular. We love you, Mike Lynn. We miss you.
Damn, man.
Still alive.
Thanks all. Good
Thank
night.
you guys for checking
Thanks,
us
guys.
out.